is, part of my answer to what you're saying, and thank you for saying that it is this. It is this. And so we are where we are in the life of the church. But if we speak the language of faith, and if we know our faith, if we can take it to them intellectually and talk to them, and when some of this stuff is really beautiful. The first thing that's really beautiful is this: is humanity is one family. This is all one family. That notion of justice being the minimum measure of charity, of that being primary and first. But also there are some beautiful things like whoever made this table. The fact is that this table had invested in it a human worker worked on this table. Someone glazed this table. Someone carved this table. You know, and the fact that that is invested with work, that someone put their physical labor into something and that item becomes sacred because of that, that's Catholic. That's Catholic. That all work is good because it's good for your mind to focus on something sensible. And in a capitalist economy, nothing is sensible. Well, we are just concerned about getting a paycheck and hopefully a decent one, and in a good world, a really decent one. And then you get involved in fantasies, and you want everything. You want summer homes. You want trips to Europe, and that's sort of nonsensical. But that's where that economy leads. There's good work to be done, and there's got to be a sensible society. Do any of us know where our water supply comes from? How many New Yorkers know where their water supply comes from? And what kind of things might be contaminating it? But we should know that. We should learn that in school. Do they think to teach that? Because it would make our world sensible. It would make our sense of politics sensible. You would be able to place things. So we do occupy a certain space. And what the Catholic worker was initially started for was to take. Dorothy Day went and lived voluntary poverty because she knew she couldn't be wrong from there. She had to be right. And her cohort, Peter Morin, was a European. He was a Frenchman. And what he knew was the best in Catholic social thought, the best European thinkers. He knew the people who would ultimately create, so this is 1933, they would ultimately create in 1962 the Second Vatican Council. So Dorothy was a sort of precursor to the Second Vatican Council. But Catholic social thought, it's very difficult to read the encyclicals, but there should be Catholic teachers locally who are teaching that to us. Because how warm and beautiful the message of our churches, that people would want to come to, would want to live in that community. So I don't think change, I can't control, change should come from the top, but it's not. In fact, they're fleeing rapidly in the opposite direction. But what we control is our own lives, and hopefully we don't lose, hopefully that sense of community is being taken away from us in so many ways, and we do need to keep that and regenerate that. So that notion of this sort of sharing, being very important, very happy for all of this tonight. Someone else has their hand up over here too. Am I wrong?
I think also the lack of community, like they mentioned before, and you also want to talk about strength in numbers. I think in the community that we live in right now, we feel like we're such a small group. And personally, a year or two ago, I went to the March for Life, and to see that many people walking for a cause gave me, it lifted my spirit. But I think here in the city, we don't have that. We don't have that many events. And even so, right now, the way the world is, I was part of a talk just this Sunday where the priest mentioned that this is like the first time in history that evil can actually look at good and be like, really, what are you doing? Like whatever Catholic way of living we want to show in ourselves to people is seen as very old school, very, very, backwards. Like, what are you doing? Like, and I think people are afraid to come to profess their faith and live that Catholic life. People are afraid to be charitable, or work in the community. So do something more than just go to mass, because they don't think they're good enough, or they don't think like they're needed. You know, it's a sense of individualism that we have going on that doesn't let us come together as a group anymore. We lost that sense of community a while ago. And when you mentioned about Halloween, I was like, wow, that's so true. As growing up, you went, everybody in your building,
All your friends.
and everybody wants a church. And it's like now, it's like people are like, no, really, you're pro-life? That's so backwards. No, you shouldn't be pro-life. You should be, you know, pro-abortion. You should be for that. You shouldn't. There's so many things about the Catholic way of life that seem that society, government, everybody wants to make it seem like you shouldn't live that lifestyle anymore. Anything that, you know, the only thing about the old school days is fashion that's coming up now. Everything else is looked at. It's true. Bring back old. That's so hipster or whatever the, you know, new words they want to come up with. But everything about our way of life is seen as backwards, and that affects community. That affects everything, even the way you want to live as a Catholic.
I think that there's a lot of idealism and a lot of hope. And the older you get, the less hope you have, this idealism you have. But the truth is that side of hope and idealism and future and positive. And you have that spirit in you, I can tell. And you have a right to chart your own course. And you will do it. And you have the power to do it. And those people that are burnt out, they never get God fire. And you are, and you can do it. And you can figure out some strategy to change one thing and work together, you know, and see things change. It can happen. It can happen. You know, the youth movement in Czechoslovakia, the youth movement in different parts of the world, the occupation Wall Street movement, all these things are possible to generate. And don't look at other people, the adults, look at yourself and start empowering yourself. Start strategizing and taking 1, 2, 3 steps, 4 steps and try to change one thing in the parish, or one thing in your neighborhood. So work on it. Don't give up and get more people involved. That's my best time.
That was great. Thank you. Thank you.
I think also as young Catholics, Thursday Day fascinates me. Like you can learn so much from her. I love the saints. If they really do make her a saint, that'd be like awesome. Because you really don't see a lot of saints like protesting. You know, she would be like one of those saints for us. Like a lot of people, she protested, she went to jail. You know, she did civil disobedience. I really can't recall so many saints that you can say that, you know, about them. So I really recommend for all of you to learn more about it. I think we're so lucky to have a Catholic and so rich. You know, her prayer life, her writings. You really can't put limits on her. You know, there's so much beauty going on there. I really recommend, you know, for you guys to. I'm not an expert either. I'm always learning about it. But there's so much for us, especially as young Catholics, you know, there's so much we can learn from them.
The writings of the Catholic Church are very inspiring. So inspiring. Gospel said,
There's this balance of something I love about her. She was obedient at the same time to the church, but she also questioned the church. She now in society, but she also questioned the church. You know, some quotes you can find really hard. You know, for her, you know, they're speaking about the bishop, and even Pope. And so, and I think we all go through that. You know, we love. I was a Catholic when I was born. You know, when I say that, I mean that my grandparents were Catholic, my parents. Most of those Dominicans, you know what I'm talking about. You know, our families are like Catholic. We're Catholic. We're born. I love to say that. And so sometimes it's hard for us. We can do this as society a lot, but it's hard for us to say something about our church. And there are a lot of beautiful things about our church. There are a lot of things that aren't right. You know, I at least think that, and I think Dorothy is also a light there. You know, that helps us to see that. You know, with obedience, you know, love to the church, loyalty to it, but also, you know, we're
bringing the church back to its own teachings.